what's up guys? Frank Fulci back again with another one of my special, I guess you can call them, videos of every horror movie I've watched in the month of, this time being January. So before we jump into things guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you get future notifications of future uploads. This is the fourth video of this that I'm doing, so welcome to the channel guys. If you've seen these past videos that I've done the last few months, you'll know that they are pretty long-winded. It all really depends, the length really depends on how much I remember about each movie that I've seen. Some of them I'll remember more about, some of them I'll remember very little about, especially because it's been a month since I've seen some of them, you know, a full month. So I'll try to go into as much detail as I can, letting you know whether it's worth your time or not. And if you see me keep looking down, it's because I have my laptop in front of me with some notes and things like that. So let's just jump right into it, guys. Hopefully everyone is doing okay out there, and make sure you grab yourself a snack or a drink, and we're gonna be here a while. So first movie of January that I watched was on the 2nd. And I really should have got a drink, but I don't have one, and I am very ill prepared for this, so if I clear my throat a bunch, guys, I apologize. Anyway, like I said, the first movie was on the 2nd, and it's called Smoke and Mirrors, and it's actually the story of Tom Savini. It's from 2015, directed by Jason Baker. I watched this on Shudder, and as you guys can tell by the title, probably it's a documentary about the life of Tom Savini, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, special effects and makeup artists of our lifetime, I guess. But it basically goes through from the start of his childhood and his family life. He's like one of like 7 siblings. It's pretty crazy, and he's the youngest of them all from what I remember, to when he was a photographer in the military, a war photographer, so he saw all sorts of gruesome shit, which is what he gave him the ability basically to study those images and the shit that he saw and experienced and make realistic special effects in all the movies that he's done. If you've seen a horror movie from the last 30 years, you've seen a bunch of his movies, I'm sure. He's also directed a few, and that, the documentary goes through all that stuff. The films he's directed, the stuff, he's a big play guy. He's been in a bunch of plays and stuff, off-Broadway, things like that. So it goes in depth with all that stuff, and it's actually really good. The only thing is, I like my documentaries to be more, cohesive. This one seemed like it was kind of piecemeal together. There was like interview footage of him from like 3 or 4 different eras, and they were all kind of just chopped together, and overall it was an okay documentary, and it was definitely worth a watch. But I don't know, I feel like it could have been done a little better, but in the end it was pretty good. On the next day, on the 3rd, I watched a movie called Host. This one is from 2020, directed by Rob Savage, and I watched this on Shudder. There's going to be a lot of Shudder ones this month, guys. I really got into that service this past month. I had my sister's login, and I used to have Shudder years ago. I even wrote an article on the Repulsive Reviews website about why it's such a great service and why horror fans should get it, and then I stopped subscribing to it for a little bit, and now I have my sister's login, and there's so much good shit on there. But anyway, guys, like I said, Host was on Shudder. It's I guess you can consider it found footage. It's a movie that is about a group of friends, and it's during this pandemic times where they can't really get together. They're trying to socially distance, but they want to have a little get together, and they do a Zoom meeting, the app Zoom. And they think it's a cool idea to do a virtual seance. So it's like 4 or 5 friends, if I remember correctly, and they invite this woman, this medium, to do a virtual seance. And within a few minutes of her getting on, her power cuts off and she's like kicked from the meeting. So the girls are just like whatever, fucking around, and they realize they've actually welcomed, if that's the right word, they've welcomed an unwelcome guest into their apartments, their respective apartments. So shit hits the fan in all their apartments and all their little screens on the screen, and it's pretty good. And the best part about this, for me at least, one of the coolest parts about it was that the film is under an hour. And if you guys know anything about the Zoom app, a free account on Zoom is limited to an hour. So there's actually, within like the last 10 minutes of the film, there's like a little blurb that comes up on the screen that says, you have 10 minutes left in your free meeting. So I thought it was a pretty clever way to tie into the technology of it all. And yeah, it was a really good movie. I actually liked it. I mean, nothing too groundbreaking. It's stuff we've seen before, especially technology heavy horror movies, but definitely worth a watch, and I really enjoyed it. Skip a couple of days, guys. On the 5th of January, I watched a movie called Girl, and this was one I actually did a full review for on repulsivereviews.com. It's a film from 2020. directed by Chad Faust, and I have a DVD copy of it. I don't think this is one that made it to Blu-ray, and I didn't even write down what label put it out, so there's that. But you could go to the website. I'll put the link down below of the review, and in that review, there's a link to the Amazon, to buy it on Amazon, basically. But it's starring Bella Thorne and Mickey Rourke, and again, since I did a whole review of this, I won't go into too much depth, but Bella Thorne plays a character basically only known as Girl throughout the film, which is why the movie's called Girl, I guess. But she goes back, her mom is like kind of in bad shape, she's obese and has bad knees, bad back, whatever the fuck she has, and her father, Bella Thorne's father, left them at a young age, and she's been hearing stories about her father being a fucking dick her whole life, because why did he leave us, blah blah blah. So I guess she plays a teenager, 18, 19, whatever she plays, but she plans on going to wherever her dad is, hunting him down, and basically killing him. But when she gets there, she finds that he's already dead, and she's pissed that she wasn't the one that was able to kill him herself. So then shit unfolds, and you start to learn more about the town that she's in, and now she's trying to find out who killed my daddy before I could. And she did a really good job in this. Mickey Rourke, like I said, he's also in this. He plays the sheriff of this small town, and as the movie goes on, there's a lot of twists and turns of the family history of Bella Thorne's character's family. So Mickey Rourke ties in, and a couple of Chad Faust is actually in the movie as well, and he did a really good job, and his character ties in. So it's all twists and turns. It's not really a straight up horror movie, but it is a thriller, and there's some pretty dark shit in there, so definitely worth a watch. Like I said, I did the full review, so you can give that a read. A couple of days, skip a couple of days. On the 7th, I watched a movie called The Theater Bazaar. Now, this is an anthology film from 2011. I watched it on Blu-ray from 7 Films. It actually just came out from 7, I believe in December, actually. It was one of their newer releases. So because it's an anthology, there's a bunch of segments in it, and the segments are directed by Douglas Buck, Buddy Giovinazzo, David Gregory, Kareem Hussein, Jeremy Caston, Tom Savini, there he is again, and Richard Stanley, who you guys know from Color Out of Space and a bunch of other movies recently, I feel like. Anyway, like I said, it's put out by 7. Now, this anthology is a weird one. It's funny because I don't really remember much about it. There's a segment about these toad creatures, and there's a segment about this estranged couple. They're fucking fighting about something, and this guy, it's like a murder-suicide, but it doesn't play out quite like that in the beginning. There's a segment about some girl who goes around killing people and then like taking some shit out of their eyeballs, like what you see, they're sticking syringes in their eyes and pulling out basically their soul through their eyes. At the moment of death, she found out that you can like take out somebody's soul or their memories or whatever, their life experiences, and if she injects it into herself, she can experience their life, and she like writes journals about what she's experiencing or what she's remembering. So it's pretty crazy, but total of like 6 segments, and it's funny how this anthology plays out because I feel like they just got weaker and weaker as they went along. So the first one was my favorite, the second one was my second favorite, and so on. And usually with anthology, it doesn't happen. It's usually, a mixed, bag of things. Sometimes you like the last one the best and the middle one the best, whatever. But this was pretty odd in the fact that as they went on, I liked them less and less. So pretty interesting. I think overall it was worth a watch. I think 7 did a good job with it. There's a bunch of extras and stuff on the Blu-ray. But not one that I'll probably be revisiting anytime soon. Speaking of revisiting movies anytime soon, on the 9th I watched a movie called May the Devil Take You. If you guys have watched my channel at all, you know I've been mentioning this, especially recently. This is a film from 2018 directed by one half of the Mo brothers, Timo Tjahjanto. I say Tjahjanto, that's probably not how you say it. He's an Indonesian director. This film was on Netflix. This is a supernatural film, heavy Evil Dead vibes. So, not too goofy. I'm talking about like original Evil Dead. So, some splat stick stuff, not really comedy, but very fucking, like I said, supernatural. So it's about this girl, Alfie, who, her father, in the beginning of the film, he basically makes a deal with the devil, and that deal grants him fame, and he's rich, and you see a bunch of like newspaper clippings of he's this big mogul, he gets all this money overnight, basically. And, as the movie goes on, he gets sick and he dies. Actually, he doesn't die right away. He gets sick, but in like those same newspaper clippings, you see his wife killed herself, and there's a whole bunch of tragedy that surrounds this guy who basically went from being nothing to being rich to back to nothing again. And as the movie goes on, Alfie goes back to the house with her father's newer family, so her step siblings and her stepmother, and they have to, you know, take care of the estate basically and see if they're going to sell the house, whatever. But when they're there, kind of like Evil Dead, they find some evil shit and it comes out of the cellar, and basically there's some possession that goes on, there's some demons, there's all sorts of awesome gore, all practical effects as far as I can tell, and it's just a great fucking time. I've seen this now twice, and I would have no problem throwing that shit on again and watching it a third time right now. The reason why I revisited this one, because on that same night, I believe this was a Saturday, I watched the sequel that is now on Shudder, May the Devil Take You To, you know, T-O-O, as in also. I believe in the original Indonesian title, whatever it is, I think is actually the number 2, but for the American audience, they put T-O-O. Anyway, like I said, also directed by Timo. This one is on Shudder. I believe it's an exclusive to Shudder, just like the first one was exclusive to Netflix. But the good thing about Shudder is they actually put their shit out on Blu-ray, so I'm hoping to get a Blu-ray this one within the next couple of months, at least. This one sees, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, Alfie survives the first film. It sees her and her youngest step-sister back in the sequel. What happens here is a group of not siblings, but they grew up in an orphanage together, so I guess you can say they're orphan siblings. I don't know the term for that, but a group of siblings, we'll just say for the sake of this video, they basically kidnap Alfie and her younger sister, and because they learned of her exploits as surviving this fucking supernatural occurrence from the first film, and they need her help in something they're experiencing that's kind of similar with demons and all this shit. So this one is a little more Evil Dead 2 as opposed to Evil Dead 1, like I said the other one was. So it's a little more comedy stuff, a little more out there. At some point she has like a power fist. It's pretty fucking wacky, but still really amazing. This one is a little more CG heavy than the first one, but still has some really good practical effects as well, and over top gore, and it's just a good time. So definitely recommend the first one and the second one. I think personally I like the first one better, but there's nothing wrong with the second one at all. The next day, on that Sunday, on the 10th, I watched a film, an oldie but a goodie from 1958 called Giant from the Unknown. This was directed by Richard E. Cunha. This was on a Blu-ray that I had received for review. I forget who put it out. I did not put it on my notes here. But again, I did a full review of this one, so you guys, I'll put the link down below. You can check that, all my full thoughts on that. But this one was a fun one. I think it's pretty much feature length. Feature film length is around 90 minutes or so, black and white, and it's about this small town, and they're experiencing some eerie things going on, some you know, like cattle decapitations, you know, animal mutilations and shit they can't really explain and things like that. And you know, hold that in the back of your mind. Then there's like an archaeologist that comes to town and he hears about these phenomena, and he wants to like check the area, and him and somebody from the local town, they end up teaming together because for whatever reason, sorry guys, I don't really remember much about this shit, but they end up uncovering basically this giant. He was preserved somehow from, he's a Spanish conquistador basically from centuries ago, and he is now roaming around and doing all these fucking unexplained things, and he's the explanation for them. So the movie is just them discovering him, and then in the end having to fucking defeat him because he's killing all the townspeople and things like that. So an old monster movie, basically a 50s monster movie. It was pretty fun. If you're into these oldies, definitely worth a watch. The Blu-ray restoration looks fantastic, so it literally looks like a movie that was filmed fucking last year, you know, restored. Obviously it's in black and white, like I said, but other than that, really great quality. The sound is great, so great Blu-ray release overall, and a good watch if you're into those old things. I gotta be in the mood for those things, but that day I thought it was pretty good. That same night, on the 10th, I watched a film called Macabre from 2009, and this one is actually directed by the Mo brothers, so both Timo Tjahjanto and Kimo Stambol. That's how I will say his name, because he comes up again later. So Kimo and Timo, they're not really brothers, but they both have Mo in their names, Timo and Kimo. Anyway, I watched this on DVD. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray of this one. I would love to get a Blu-ray of this from like an Arrow or a Scream Factory or somebody, but I have the DVD. Had picked it up I think last year, and I think I watched it right then, and then I rewatched it again because I was in a Mo Brothers mood. But anyway, it's a film about this group of friends. They're taking two of them are supposed to be going to the airport to start their new lives together. One of them, you know, she's pregnant with her husband, and their group of friends, they're like, all right, we'll drive you to the airport, but it's storming out or whatever, and they run into this girl on the road, and she's out in the rain, and like, oh, we can't leave her. So they pick her up, and let's bring her to her, you know, her house is on the way, supposedly. We'll bring her to her house. So they bring her to the house, and the mother is there, and she's like, you know, let me thank you for, you know, helping my daughter. She was out stranded, whatever. Let me make you a meal. So she makes a nice big fucking feast for them, and she drugs them. And basically this turns into a, like I had mentioned, the May the Devil Take You films have an Evil Dead vibe. Macabre has a fucking heavy Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe. So there's a lot of chopping off of limbs, and there's a lot of fucking gore. Again, these guys' movies are known for their gore. They've done segments in VHS and VHS 2, probably VHS 3, I don't know, a bunch of like anthology stuff. They've done stuff in ABCs of Death, from what I remember. So these guys are known for like their over-the-top gore and crazy shit, and it always looks good. Like their effects, whether it's CGI, practical, or a mixture of the two, always look fantastic, at least in my opinion. But this is another one, like I said, great acting, great gore, great story. It's basically, like I said, a Texas Chainsaw. These guys, they were drugged, and they're getting fucking killed one by one, and the survivors have to survive, you know, get out of there, try to get out of there in one piece. Very violent, very fucking fun time. Can't recommend that one enough. I really have not seen a bad Mo Brothers film, whether it's both of them together or Timo or Chemo by themselves, as you've heard me mention. So, can't really say much more about that, guys. On the 12th of January, I watched a movie called Found, and this one is from 2012. This is another rewatch. This is directed by Scott Shermer. I actually originally had this on Blu-ray from Accelerator, or on DVD rather. And then recently I bought the Blu-ray, so I wanted to revisit it. So I watched the Blu-ray of it. This one is based on a book of the same name, not directed by, but written by Todd Rigney. Now, I would love to get my hands on that book, but I haven't really looked. I'm sure I hope anyway, it's not too hard to get your hands on. But anyway, Found is about this kid, I forget his name, but he basically finds out that his older brother is kind of a jerk. So they're not really close anymore, like what they used to be when they're younger, and he's not doing well in school and whatever, but he finds out that his older brother has fucking a bowling bag. He went to go borrow a bowling ball one day, and in the bowling bag that he went to go get out of his brother's closet, there was a fucking head in there. So he found out that his brother is killing people and leaving their heads, because every time he goes to look in this bag, it's a different head. So basically he has to live with the fact that his brother is a serial killer, and eventually the older brother finds out that the younger brother knows, and there's a whole bunch of shit that goes on that's kind of crazy. It's a very low budget indie film. I'm glad I rewatched it because I didn't really remember it that well, and it is a good watch, but not one that you can watch so often, at least not for me. I know there's a lot of people out there that really love that movie, and I think Rotten Roger from 3B Video is one of them. He thinks it's like a masterpiece. I don't like it quite as much as him, but like I said, I'm glad I rewatched it, and if you haven't seen it ever, I think it's worth a watch. Just know that the acting is not the greatest. It is all practical effects, and it is pretty fucking gory, so, you know, be prepared for that. But yeah, definitely worth at least one watch. Now, 2 days later, on the 14th, I watched a movie called Headless from 2015, directed by Arthur Culliford. That one was on DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray of that. But this one, Headless, is actually based on, in Found, the younger brother also finds in the older brother's room a VHS tape that he actually found out that he stole from the rental place. But it's a horror movie called Headless. And in that movie, it's basically a fucking guy wearing a mask. It's like a skin mask, whatever. And he like chops up bodies and fucks their severed heads. And it's all sorts of perverted shit. So that was like a small segment in Found where the brother is watching this VHS tape. It's like 10 minutes probably in Found. So they made a full-length film based on that in 2015. Now Scott Shermer didn't direct this one, but I believe he was a producer on this. So he was still attached to it, but Arthur Culliford was director, like I said. And this one is not as good as Found. It's basically more of a slasher, and it dives into the fact of like, why the fuck is this killer this way? So it shows his childhood. His mom was a piece of shit, and she kept him in a cage, and his sister, he had an older sister, and she would piss on him and all this bullshit. So it's pretty vile stuff. So of course he grows up to be a killer, and again, you see more of the same that you had seen in Found, where he chops up their limbs, has sex with their heads, all sorts of crazy shit. So again, it's out there, but it's pretty fucking gory, and you know, if you like low budget gore shit, you're gonna love this one. Again, happy I saw it at least once. I have it in the collection. I'm glad it's there. Maybe I'll revisit it down the line, but glad to finally have seen that one. The next day on the 15th, I watched one. This is a silly name, guys, but be prepared for Uncle Peckerhead. That's right, from 2020 actually, and directed by Matthew John Lawrence. I watched this on Blu-ray. I picked this up during the Black Friday sale from Epic Pictures, also known as Dread. It used to be Dread Presents, whatever. But this is the one that I picked up during that sale. It finally came like 2 months later. But this is like a comedy, as you see, you can tell by the title. But this local band, they're trying to get local gigs and shit in town, and start touring and make it big as a band. They're like this punk band, and their van breaks down, or they don't have a van or some shit, so they're looking for somebody with a van. They run into this guy in like an alleyway because they're putting up signs everywhere like van wanted, van needed. So they run into this guy who tells them his name is Peckerhead, and they're like, that's not your fucking name, dude. He's like, nah, that's my name. People call me Peck. But anyway, they start calling him Uncle Peckerhead. And Uncle Peckerhead is a weird guy, but he's fun to be around, whatever. They're drinking beers, he's driving around, he likes their music, he's a fan. The thing is, at night, Uncle Peckerhead turns into this fucking human-eating demon of some kind, and his practical effects are pretty fucking good. He looks awesome, but yeah, there's certain scenes where he's just ripping people up and eating them, and full scenes of just pulling people's spines out their body. It's pretty fucking awesome. It's funny because there's a lot less of that kind of stuff than I would have expected, or would have wanted rather. But when it comes full blast. So don't worry about that. It might be few and far between, but when the gore is there, it's full blast, like I said. So that's a fun one for sure. The music was actually really good too. I had a good time with that punk music that was in there. So that was a surprise. I'm not really a punk guy, I'm more of a metal guy, but that stuff was pretty fucking catchy. So I was happy to see that one. So definitely worth a watch for sure. I know Mason, Pop Culture Massacre, had said he had liked that one, and he was not wrong. Next up, guys, on the 16th, I watched a film called Hunter x Hunter. This was a 2021, directed by Sean Linden. I watched this on Amazon Prime. I actually had to pay for this one. It's not free. But this one was fucking great. This one kind of pissed me off too, though, as much as I loved it. Starring Devon Sawa, and he's a hunter. And him and his family live in the woods, and off the grid kind of. And there's a wolf now that has come, and they've had this wolf in their land before, so they know it's kind of a big deal because he's eating their food, and if he doesn't eat their food, he's gonna fucking end up eating them. And so the Devon Sawa's character, he's the father, he goes out into the woods to try to catch this wolf, but he ends up finding body parts and human remains in the woods. So he's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on, and he realizes that the wolf isn't really the biggest problem here. So there's someone else there, and it's it's basically becomes human versus human, hunter versus hunter, and it's really good. I got really upset about the way certain things went down, but that just means the movie was effective, and the end of this film is fucking amazing. I don't want to spoil it, but guys, just know that you need to see this movie just for the last 5 minutes alone. It was almost like it was out of place compared to the rest of the film, but gory as shit, practical effects are amazing, and you just need to see that to believe it, because I don't want to spoil anything. So yeah, Hunter x Hunter, definitely recommend that one, guys. So next up, guys, on the next day, on the 17th, I watched a movie called The Collingswood Story. Now, this is one from 2002, directed by Michael Costanza, and this one was on DVD. I actually got this DVD. If you saw my haul in the last few weeks, I hauled this one recently, and it was just on DVD. There's no Blu-ray or anything. It's, like I said, a 2002 micro-budget movie, so low budget, like, you could have made it. I could be making better movie than this with my camera, but this one has to be a huge influence on Host, which I talked about a few minutes ago, because this one is like 20 years older version of that. This girl is on campus by herself. It's her birthday weekend or whatever, but she's by herself. She actually lives off campus. She's like renting a house, and her friend from back home, the only way they can really connect, because they're a few hours apart, a few hours away from each other, is through this webcam. And again, 2002, like very unsophisticated technology, so the webcam interfaces, you're looking at some Windows 98 shit really throughout the whole movie, and they can't really have more than one person on at a time. So for her birthday, her friend, this guy, thought it would be cool to get like again, similar thing to Host, a virtual seance, like, this is gonna be fun, let's just hear what she has to say, this medium, and she'll tell your future and all this shit. So anyway, when the guy's not on, because you can only have one person talking back and forth at once, when the guy's not on, the medium is on talking to the girl and so on and so forth. But basically, it turns out that the house that this girl's renting is like known for like murders and crazy shit going on there and some cult shit. And I don't even remember how this fucking movie ended. I remember liking it at the time, and again, this shit was probably made for like $200, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's so fucking low budget. But it was good. I mean, for the time, 2002, if I were to see this back then, I would have been like blown away, I'm sure. And again, seeing that and like seeing how it influenced movies like Host and things like that, it's pretty cool to go back and look at your horror film history, even though not too many people know about this movie. I found out about this randomly on somebody's Facebook or Instagram post or some shit. So, Collingswood Story, guys. If you can find a copy of that, I found the DVD for like $20. Not the worst, considering it's out of print or whatever. But definitely see if you can grab a copy. And again, go in knowing it's like kind of slower and stuff, but it's definitely cool, like I said, to go back and see how it influenced some of these newer, more exciting horror movies. But on that same day, talking about exciting new horror movies, I watched a movie called The Cleansing Hour from 2019, directed by Damien Levesque, and this one is also on Shudder, another Shudder one on the list. This movie is fucking fantastic, guys. My younger sister had told me about this one, actually not more than once. She told me about it a couple times, because I kept forgetting, like, what was that movie that you told me to watch? Because I've been watching a bunch of shit on Shudder, and I just kept forgetting that one. So she told me The Cleansing Hour. I was like, alright, let me watch it tonight. Cleansing Hour is about this guy. He's a priest, or so you think. He's a reality star, basically. He does these live streams where he does exorcisms on camera, and he has his cameraman there, and not cameraman, he's more of like a director behind the scenes. He feeds lines to them and all sorts of shit. He's basically running the show. So there's I don't want to say there's comedy in this, because it's a pretty straightforward, like, serious movie, but there's some comical stuff between the two of them, like, I'm gonna go fuck myself now, like, if they're not paying attention to each other or whatever. But pretty cool stuff, like, in terms of their relationship, and that gets explained more as the movie goes on, and how long they've known each other, basically, these two main characters, the priest and his director, if you want to call him that. But anyway, turns out that this whole thing is, like, bullshit. He's not really a priest, and the demons or the possessed people they have on camera, they're not really possessed. But what happens is they actually are doing an episode, and somebody that was supposed to be there to play the demon or the possessee, whatever, the possessed person, they didn't show. So now the director guy, his girlfriend, she also works on the behind the scenes of the show. So he's like, oh babe, please, you gotta fill in, like, we're going live in like 2 minutes, you gotta fill in, you're a great actress, whatever. So she fills in, and she actually ends up really getting possessed, like, by this fucking demon. Some crazy shit ensues, and you find out, like, why the demon is there and what the demon wants these people to do, and it's pretty fucking awesome. Again, practical effects for the most part. I'm sure there is a lot of CGI from what I remember, and at times it was kind of like, that could have been better. But overall, if you get invested in this movie like I was, it doesn't fucking matter. So a lot of cool stuff going on here. In terms of like a modern day exorcism movie, this is by far one of the best ones I've seen. So definitely check out The Cleansing Hour on Shudder. If you don't have Shudder currently, but me talking about all these movies that are on Shudder, like, should make you want to get it just for that fact. Like, there's so much good shit on there. Anyway, Cleansing Hour, guys. The next day, I watched a movie called Unhinged from 2020, directed by Derek Borte. I watched this on Blu-ray. This is actually, I did a full review on this one as well. So this one was really fucking good, starring Russell Crowe. And for whatever reason, like, I got comments on my video that I hauled it in, like, man, why did you waste your money on that bullshit? I'm like, first of all, I don't remember hearing too many negative things about this, but now people are saying it's bad. So anyway, I was like, I gotta watch this shit pretty quickly. Actually, did I do a review? I didn't do a review of this. What am I talking about? I did not do a review of this because I did not get it for free to review. I watched this on my own, and I think I remember, like, writing about it back in my comments. So I'm just remembering that maybe, but I did not do a full review of this. But anyway, it's really fucking good, and I should have did a full review of this because Russell Crowe is amazing in this movie, guys. Again, I don't know why this movie is getting hate on by random people, but Russell Crowe is basically this guy who's down on his luck. Everything's going wrong with this guy. He's going through a divorce, and his wife's a piece of shit because I guess she cheated on him or whatever. And he, of course, in the divorce, he's getting the shitty end of the stick, and he's losing everything, the house, whatever. So she's the one that fucked up, and he's the one that's getting punished for it, basically. And one day he's driving and he's stuck at a red light or whatever, and it turns green, and he's so distracted by everything that's going on that this woman behind him starts honking crazy, get the fuck out of the way. And that was it. That's all it needed to set him off, because he was so already far gone, basically, that this was the last straw. So the rest of the movie is him hunting down this woman. I didn't even write down the actress's name, but she was really fucking good. Something Pretorius or something. But she was amazing too. And her kid was in it. He was really good too. Anyway, great fucking movie. There are some really like what the fuck moments, like, oh my god, that just happened, like screwdrivers through the eye, crazy shit I did not expect to come from this movie. So anyone out there who didn't enjoy this, I'm really sorry that you didn't, because this was a fun movie. Serious when it needed to be, like really serious shit, but like other times I was like, holy crap, like that's crazy. So definitely recommend Unhinged. Don't worry about the people saying it's bad, because I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Take it from good old Frank Fulci that Unhinged is a good fucking movie. Anyway guys, fast forward a couple days. Next movie, I did write a review about this. This one is called Synchronic. This was a 2019 film, but just came out on Blu-ray now. The Blu-ray came out from Wellgo USA. And it's directed by two guys, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Now, I've seen a bunch of movies these guys have done, actually all of their movies. The first one being Resolution, then they did a movie called Spring, and then they did a movie called Endless, which surprisingly was tied to Resolution, and you didn't know that until later into the film. But great fucking filmmakers. I love these directors. Literally, all three of those films I just named and Synchronic, I loved all of them for very different reasons for each one. But Synchronic is one that's by far their biggest budget, the biggest production they've done, and it shows. From the casting with Anthony Mackie is in it, to again the special effects and all that stuff. So Synchronic is this new synthetic drug that is out there. Anthony Mackie, and again I didn't fucking write down, but his partner, they're paramedics, and they get called to a bunch of these crime scenes, and they're like pretty gruesome. Like one is like, this person is burnt to a crisp, like you can't even tell it's a body, just straight ashes. Another one is like some horrific fucking sword wound, like a sword through the fucking torso. It's like, where did this ancient sword come from? But anyway, they find out what's behind this is this synthetic drug that not only does it make them the people taking it hallucinate and shit like this, but it actually is a time traveling pill. Yeah, you heard that right. So you take this drug and it does something to your brain where you start experiencing time in a loop, like it's supposed to be according to old physics and all sorts of bullshit. Whatever, I don't know anything about it, but it's really cool. So it's like a more sci-fi than horror, but there's some gruesome shit that goes on. But it also has heart. There's some relationships that are explored and things like that. Anthony Mackie's character finds out that he's dying, so he wants to do something with his life before it's over. And his thing here is he needs to figure out this drug to help save the daughter of his partner, who, again, I don't remember the name of the actor, but he's been in some other things and he's awesome also. His daughter disappeared from this drug. So Anthony Mackie's character is trying to do good before he passes away with the limited time he has and go back and find his daughter. Doesn't know where she is, what time. So he's trying to experiment with this drug to figure it out. So that's what the movie is about, and it's fucking awesome. I did a full review, and you guys could read my thoughts, but you basically heard them all here. Anyway, next up, guys, fast forward a couple of days on the 23rd. Just a few more, guys, and we're almost done here. This one went pretty quick, actually. The Final Girls from 2015, directed by Todd Strauss-Schulson. I watched this on Hulu, the only Hulu movie this month. This one stars Thaisa Farmiga, Adam Devine, who's a comedian. He's fucking funny as shit in this movie. So it's basically a horror comedy, and I never remember that this is this woman's name, but she's also in it. Malin Ackerman. I know her from Watchmen and Couples Retreat, but I swear this woman has been in everything. So if you look her up, if you don't know that name just by hearing me say it, look her up on IMDb. You'll recognize her face instantly. But Malin Ackerman's character, Malin Ackerman, plays this woman who's an actress. She's the mother of Thaisa Farmiga's character, and they're together in the beginning of the movie, and there's a car accident, and Malin's character dies in the car accident. And like I said, she was an actress, and she actually, when she was younger, did a movie called Camp Bloodbath. So it was a indie slasher, shit that we all love, right? So Camp Bloodbath is this cult favorite, and fast forward a couple of years, and it's on the anniversary of actually of Malin's death, her character's death, and this group of people again, I didn't write his fucking name, but there's an actor from Silicon Valley, really funny guy, and he's like this big fucking #1 fan of Camp Bloodbath 1 and 2, because there's a sequel, of course. But Thaisa Farmiga is invited to this. Oh, you gotta come speak. Everyone will love that your mother is in the movie. She's the final girl in the movie. So whatever, they're watching the screening of this movie, you know, the anniversary or whatever, and a fire erupts in the fucking theater. So everyone's going crazy, trying to escape this fire and save themselves, and they realize there's an exit behind the screen. So I forget what Thaisa's character does, but she like rips a hole in the screen, and they like go through the screen to like escape, you know, to get to the exit, and they end up going into the fucking movie. So they're in the movie Camp Bloodbath. So there's another like time travel, weird traveling thing movie, right? So they're in this fucking thing, and there's a whole bunch of slasher tropes, and there's the hot girl, the dumb girl, the jock, the fucking whatever. But it's a comedy, right? So it's really fucking funny, and the slasher elements are done really well too. So there's some pretty good gore, and it's just a good time, guys. I've watched this one I think 3 or 4 times now in total. It's been a couple of years though, so I watched it with my friend because she had never seen it. Great fucking movie. I can't say enough about that. Honestly, I don't think there was a bad movie on this list. Probably the worst one so far was Collingswood Story, and I still recommended that to you too, guys. So another good month for sure. But Final Girl is definitely higher up on the list than some of these others. Fast forward a couple days, guys. I watched a movie called Come Play. This is another 2020 film directed by Jacob Chase. This one was on Blu-ray, and I did do a full review for this one. This is a movie I had not even heard about until I got an email saying, hey, do you want to review this? And I was like, sure, I'll review another 2020 movie, trying to catch up on shit that I missed from that year. Anyway, guys, this is based on a short film called Larry, which was also written and directed by Jacob Chase. And so Come Play is about this young boy. He's autistic, and so he doesn't really speak. He uses his phone a lot too. He has an app on there that like he can like press the button and it says what he wants to say. So he doesn't make friends very well. You know, he's really young. He's probably like 10 years old. So of course at that age, everyone's making fun of him, whatever. Doesn't really make friends very easily. And if he does make friends, they don't last. So there's some kids that are like really fucking bullies to him or whatever. Anyway, one day on his tablet and his smartphone and everything, he sees this app, or he sees this shit on the screen that like he didn't install or whatever, but it's like a children's story, but it's really fucking scary, and it's about this guy named Larry, and I say guy, but it's really like a creature. Think of like Slender Man, but cooler looking, who, it's like a rhyme, and it's like Larry basically just wants to be your friend, so finish the fucking story so that Larry can come to your world and be your friend, and just take his hand and he'll be your friend. So it's this really creepy supernatural movie, and again, it's kind of technology heavy, whereas like you can't really see Larry, but then when you like put up the camera like of a tablet or something, then you can see him in the corner. So they play with shadows and lighting and things like that a lot, and the special effects are really good because the director decided to not be an asshole. Like if the budget wasn't there for a great special effects monster, he knew that, because he would show him kind of out of focus in the corner or in the dark, so you don't have to get a full-blown shot. But even still, when you do get a more focused shot of Larry, this fucking creature, it looks good anyway. So either way, it looks good. Great special effects, great acting, and this one was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. So if you guys have not heard about Come Play, like I didn't, definitely check it out. And again, you can read my full review. I'll link it down below. Coming to an end here, guys. 2 more, I promise. On the 28th, I watched a movie called Alone from 2020, also directed by John Hyams, on Blu-ray from Magnet Releasing. It's another one I showed off in a haul recently. Not for review, I just bought it. But this one was really good. Again, more thriller than horror, but it definitely has horror elements. It's about this woman who's, again, you find out, not too spoilery, but she lost her husband. He died tragically, and she basically wants to start a new life. She wants to escape, and so she's presumably moving away very far away, because the drive is hours and hours and hours. She has a U-Haul attached to the back of her car, and she's just driving, and she keeps running into this fucking guy. Oh god, I'm such an idiot. I rushed through this video, but the actor, oh man, let me look on my phone real quick, because I want to tell you guys the actor's name. He plays a creepy motherfucker in this one for sure. Mark Manchaka. He's also been in Ozark and The Outsider, which he was great in both of those too. He played a creep creepy motherfucker in The Outsider as well, but I won't get into that. But yeah, he was a real fucking creep in this, and he basically keeps following this main actress, this main character, and like he runs in, like she goes to a gas station and he's there, like hours like later, miles away, and he basically just keeps running into her to the point where she breaks down because she like skids on the road. Actually, it's because he slashed her tire, but he basically fucking finally drugs her and takes her to his cabin that he has in the woods, and he's basically planning on killing her and doing all this shit to her, and the movie is just her trying to escape. So, and this one was actually based on a Swedish movie, I believe, called Gone. So it is a remake of a film. I've never seen the original, but I found that out in the bonus features of the Blu-ray. There's like a short making of on there, which was pretty cool. But again, good effects, great acting. Like I said, Mark, he plays I think that's what I said his name is, whatever. He plays a great fucking character, again, creepy as hell. And the main actress is really good. And it's just a good cat and mouse, let me get away from you kind of fucking story. So definitely recommend that one. Again, happy that Magnet is putting out movies, because for a few years I thought Magnet releasing was done. I thought they weren't putting anything out, but definitely a good one. And last on the list, guys, is one that I watched on the 30th called The Queen of Black Magic. This was from 2019, directed by the other half of the Mo brothers, Kimo Stambol. This one is also on Shudder. I believe this is a Shudder exclusive, so it just came on Shudder, even though it's 2019. You know, we're 2021 now. It literally just came on Shudder a couple of days ago. And this is a loose remake of another Indonesian horror film from 1981 of the same title. Now, I say loose because what I found out about it after I watched the movie, and it's funny because in the credits of this one, they show scenes from the original one. So, and now you can tell it's an older film, so I was like, oh, this must be a remake. Anyway, I looked on Google, and there's a lot of differences, so that's why I say it's a loose remake. But I don't know if these guys grew up in an orphanage or what, but here's another movie about an orphanage, and it's basically this guy is bringing his family. It's a husband and wife and their 2 children, or 3 children. They're going to the orphanage that he grew up in because the man who took care of them, I think his name was Mr. Bandy or something, he's ill, so they want to go say their final goodbyes. He wants the kids to meet, you know, the man that raised him and whatever. So when he's there, other siblings, again, I don't know what the term is for orphans that grew up together, but other siblings show up, you know, other kids that he grew up with. They're all adults now, and they have families and significant others and whatever, and they're all here together to say their final goodbyes. And this turns into a supernatural film as well. Obviously, you can tell by the name, Queen of Black Magic, that there's some black magic that goes on, and you find out the history of the school, you know, of the orphanage, and there's some shady shit that went down. I don't want to get too spoilery because I feel like this video was kind of some spoilers in it already, but some shady shit has gone down, and there's these spirits and these black magic going on, and they're trying to get revenge for past shadiness. And all these people that are visiting this guy just happen to be involved in it, and now they're getting revenge, you know, seeked on them. Somebody's seeking revenge on them. So it's pretty good. Again, this one is way more CG heavy than the other than Timo's other movies. So I don't know if Kimo just wanted to go that route for whatever reason. I think it's a combination of CG and practical effects, but I could really tell there's a lot of CG in this one. Again, it doesn't look the worst, but would have loved more of the crazy, gory practical effects stuff. But beggars can't be choosers here. Overall, this was a good movie. Not as good as May the Devil Take You and May the Devil Take You 2, but definitely a great companion piece with those 2 movies. Because, again, supernatural, crazy gore shit. And a good story overall, and the acting was good, and, you know, everything was really good. So like I said, guys, I have not seen any bad Mo Brothers films, whether it's them together, Timo alone, or Kimo alone. So, definitely another one I recommend. Honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these. If I were to skip 1 or 2, if I were you guys, I would skip Headless, Theater Bazaar, and Collingswood Story. But even those, like I said, they have their strengths, so don't skip any of them, guys. Just watch every fucking movie I watched. And that is it for me, guys. Another long-ass movie, another long-ass film, video, I should say. So hopefully you guys stuck around with me, and if you did, I appreciate it, and I thank you for your time, of course. You know, if you know me, that I don't like to make long-ass videos, so these are kind of daunting even for me to do, especially because I'm talking for 45 minutes straight. So if you guys aren't annoyed with me by now, I appreciate you, I thank you, and hopefully you liked what you heard me speak about here. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of these movies, if you want to see any of the movies now that I mentioned them, if you're on the fence about watching some and now I convince you to do so. Let me know, guys. I'd love to hear from you. You know, if you've commented in the past, that I comment right away. And if you're new to the channel, I hope you like what you saw, and make sure, like I said in the beginning, hit that subscribe button, because I do these videos every month, as well as my weekly hauls and other special videos throughout the week sometimes too. So yeah guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment down below, give me the like, hit all the links down below, the social media, my Amazon wishlist, my merch link, all that good shit. And until next time guys, I hope you're well, I hope you're safe, I hope you're healthy and happy. We're in the middle of a fucking snowstorm, and I say middle, it's been snowing for over 24 hours straight, and I think there's another 24 hours to go. It's at least 13, 14 inches of snow so far here in New York, where I'm at least, and I'm sure I'll probably get another foot. So not very good, but hopefully you guys, if you're snowed in as well, you have some entertainment. I don't know when this will actually be uploaded, because I have to edit it and shit. So hopefully by Wednesday night, it'll be ready to go. So like I said guys, hope you're all doing good, and until next time, peace out and be good.